Hey guys, welcome to week 5 of the Chewelah Premier Fantasy Draft League. I'm your host, Sunblaze Warrior, and I'm once again delighted to bring back my two favorite co-hosts, Cypress and Jacob Sue.
I'm Cypress, and they brought me back for some reason.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jacob Sue, and I am the manager of Sioux Castle United. It's a pleasure to be back for the second week running here on this YouTube channel, and look forward to talking some Fantasy Premier League with you boys.
And we start, as always, with our pre-week transactions, of which there were many, as usual. Starting with FC Varka coming off a great win last week, making 3 changes. Brighton's Van Heck comes in for minuteless Jarell Kwanzaa, defender Mavropanos replaces Arsenal substitute Zinchenko, and Bournemouth's recent start Tavernier comes in for Villa's Zach Rogers.
Osignac brought on Tonali for Nkunku. Even though Nkunku is a solid player for a better club, he isn't starting, so it makes it for worse overall points, and Tonali is consistent and dependable in ways Nkunku can't be, much to his chagrin. Sunblaze misclicked to trade Traore for Sinestra. Apparently, that was a complete accident, and that's the only way to justify such an abysmal transfer. He expressed profound grief after the incident in the manager group chat, and was subsequently laughed at. And finally, Huckleberry Hotspurs made 2 transfers, bringing on Adingra for Ndidi and Henderson for McCarthy. Adingra was brought on to strengthen the midfield, and Henderson was doing well as a keeper. And these players were both the top scorers this week for the Spurs.
So the transactions this week for the U.S. Air Force, Muric on for Steele as he changes out his backup goalie, and then Jimenez comes in to the team for Mope. And then for Cyprus FC, Emil Smith-Rowe comes on for Neto. Smith-Rowe, in his first appearance for Cyprus FC, scores 8 points, bagging a goal against Newcastle United.
We start with our best match of the week, Angry Bird Athletic taking on Cyprus FC. These two teams have been very strong this year and sit high on the table, and a win for either would do well to boost their early championship hopes. It was an incredible match with huge point scorers on both sides, yet it was Cyprus who came out with the victory by a margin of 59-43. Heung-min Son, Smith Rowe, Ndiaye, and Alex Iwobi are among the victors on the weekend, with Alexander Arnold, Mbuemo, and Chris Wood coming away with nothing despite good performances. We've got the manager of the winning side on call here. Cyprus, after another 3 points towards the league table, you've risen to second. What do you think has been a key aspect in your strategy that has allowed you to excel thus far?
Honestly, I'm a little surprised I'm here. Until this week, I had the second lowest score, even with my 3-1 record, and I didn't know I could have a week like this where I scored so many. It's funny. Even though I scored high, I didn't have any players in the team of the week, and my highest earner scored 10, which isn't nothing, but usually the highest for the week's top scorer gets somewhere around 15. I have some players capable of outstanding weeks, like Heung-min Son, Declan Rice, Emil Smith-Rowe, Danny Welbeck, and Matoma, but at the moment, my strategy is just to have a lot of consistent players in my starting lineup, and it's worked well so far, so I can't imagine it failing anytime soon.
A great response, and a confident one. Let's see how it holds up in the coming future.
FC Varka knocked AFC Sunblaze off the top of the table, winning 28-19. Varka, Delit, and Kovacic both with 6 points, and then Van Hecke with 4. And then for Sunblaze, Gabriel had 7, Martinez 3, and then he didn't get much production from anyone else, with scores ranging from 2 to 0 points. The Hive defeated the U.S. Air Force 41-35. The Hive had Sanchez, the ever-present Erling Haaland, and Mateus Cunha. And then the U.S. Air Force had Palmer and Konate both scoring 8, Cucurella with 5, and then Jimenez with 6 points. But sadly for the U.S. Air Force, Jimenez was warming the bench. And then the real Chewelah took one heck of a tonking from Tati's boys, with Tati's boys winning 37-19. Tati's boys had Nicholas Jackson, who scored a whopping 16 points. Joanne Duran scored 5, while Real Chewelah, only scoring 19 points, had John Stones with 7, Virgil van Dijk with 6, and then no production from any others.
The next match we are covering was when Tommy took on Average and came out on top. He scored 41 and the average was 36, mostly thanks to Luis Diaz popping off and scoring 16 points. Other players like Chris Richards and the Darwizzi himself helped by scoring 6 each, but it was mostly thanks to Diaz's double against Bournemouth that sealed the deal. Next comes the marriage side derby, with real-life couple Mountain Villa and Huckleberry Hotspurs. Unfortunately, the Villains had a bit of a stink, scoring only 23 points, while the Spurs put up a respectable tally of 41. Villa just couldn't get any players to score that many, with Hudson-Odoi and Munoz putting up 6 and 4, while Huckleberry had Henderson with 9, and Savino and Colwill both put up 7. Finally, the last match of the week was the closest by far. Osignac barely lost out to Newcastle United by 4 points after putting up 40. The Aussies had some good players do well, with Barnes getting 9, Konza getting 7, and Salah getting 6. United, however, had Madison, who scored 12 whole points, and their next best scorers were Solanke and Mitchell, both getting 6.
And with the conclusion of this week's matches, we move on to the Team of the Week. And our Premier League Player of the Week, Tommy's Luis Diaz.
Huckleberry Hotspurs takes the top spot from AFC Sunblaze, who drops to third, and I tail the Spurs in second. There are 4 teams with 3 wins, and early leaders Angry Bird Athletic dropped to 8th after another league loss. Average hilariously has 3 points after winning a whole 20% of its matchups, and Real Chewelah is, like last season, at the bottom of the league without grabbing a single point so far.
It's been a pleasure talking Chewelah Premier League with you guys. Don't forget, Newcastle United, we're climbing up the table. Won last week up to 7th place, and we're going to keep climbing the ladder. Been a pleasure talking with you boys. Hopefully see you guys next week. Sue's out.
Sayonara. See you next week, if they let me back.
And thank you guys once again for being my co-hosts, and thank you for watching. I know this one is seriously late, and I have no excuse. So thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe, and see ya.